So my last question then. Escape your limits is about escaping what you've believed is impossible and gone on to make possible. Outside of what we've spoke about, what would be one of your most memorable examples of escaping your personal limits?
Ooh. Give me the question one more time. I know what you said, but no, I'm stalling.
So escaping your limits is about escaping what you've mentally believed is impossible and gone on to make possible. What would you say, you know, outside of the examples that we talked about here today, what would be one of your most memorable examples of escaping your own limits or your own personal limits?
Oh my gosh, that's the first question you've sidelined me on. There's been so many. I'm trying to give you one that really hits home, but I would say coming to the US for the first time. I mean, I jumped on that plane at a ticket that said I was coming back in 90 days, and I thought to myself, wow, this is going to be everything I think it is, or everything I don't think it is. And I probably had more people telling me during that point in time that this wasn't going to work. Go out there, enjoy America, because you're going to come back home. And you're going to go back to this company that you created and built, and why do you even want to put this seed in your head? And I went there, and it was everything and more than I ever dreamed. Everything was bigger, everything was better. The chicks were prettier. I mean, you remember, I'm 19 years old. I'm 19 years old. I go to Gold's Gym, Venice. There's girls walking around in bikinis and hot pants. And in my gym, this small little box gym in Llanelli, Wales, there's not a girl in sight, you know? And I thought, oh my God, this is incredible. But there was also a lot of reality too that I had to fight. You know, the reality of, okay, I've created this company. I have employees, you know, I actually created a salary for my mother. I've done all these things that people said were impossible, and I've done them too. So that was one, but this was a whole different thing. So, and then I had to remember that, you know, no great things get achieved with very little stress. And I thought to myself that I'm still young. I can give this a go, and I can always go back. Well, that was the story that I was telling my parents. I was never going back. There was no plan B. This was burn the ships. I was going in, I was going to do this. And, you know, I look back, I think to myself, and I've done this many times, I got the goosebumps again. I think that kid, because that's not me right now. This kid, this 19-year-old kid, he had some balls. He had some balls. And this is not me giving myself props, because I'm a different man right now, that I couldn't do that. I couldn't go to, let's just say, Australia and try and start all over again and leave my family and what I've created here. It's just a different mentality. But at that point in time, I knew in my heart of hearts, this was everything I needed to do. And I wasn't going to fail. And every time I had a small piece of positivity, it outweighed every other shit that was going wrong. And when I tell you, so many things were going wrong. I didn't have money. I was on a 90-day visa. I had, you know, it was just so many different things. But then I might have met a photographer that took a photo of me, right? And then 3 months later, this little article was in Flex magazine. Look at this. Yes.
Just a little bit of hope to keep things going. How long did it last before you felt that you actually was like, okay, I'm going to get through this, from, you know, what you obviously didn't know you were going to get through?
I'll tell you this. I probably haven't said this much, but I was on my last. It was under $50. It was probably like $20-something, and I had a phone from a friend that I was using that I was soon to give back, because it was one of these pay phones, and I was texting to many people in the UK. And I get this number that pops up, a 310 number, which is California. I answer it, and RIP, but it was Peter McGough, who is the editor-in-chief of Flex magazine. And he said to me, he's like, "Hey Flex, you got time to speak?" I was like, "Oh yeah, how are you doing, Peter?" And he's also English. He said to me, "Hey, so listen, we here at Flex magazine would love to bring you on as a sponsored athlete." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Can you hear me, Flex? Hello? Hello?" And I said, "Peter, I heard you." And I said to him, and he's told this story online too, about his reaction, my reaction to his. And I said, "Peter, I'm in the middle of Ralph's superstore. It's like a, supermarket." And I said, "I got to yell, mate. Okay, just bear with me. Pull your ear away from the phone." And I just went, "Yeah!" Nobody batted an eyelid because there's so many crazies in California. So many crazies in California. And I yelled and I went ballistic and I jumped back on the phone. He's laughing. I think he put me on loudspeaker for all the staff to hear. I was invited up to the We the Business, which had a HQ in Woodland Hills. And I go in there, there's just everything and more I ever thought about bodybuilding. There was lava guns, there was massive full-size paintings of Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, oil canvases. There was Ben Weider collected this military art, which was custom, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Went into the offices, 2 floors, staff writers everywhere. I was invited upstairs. They said, "Do you want to see Joe Weider's office?" Joe was not here because his back is giving him a problem. He's in hospital. Go into his office. Joe Weider's sitting in there. And they were like, "What are you doing in here, Joe?" He's like, "I don't want to stay away." And he's got all these old school, remember the photos? He had his little eye monocle out and he was looking at every slide, different ones like this. The guy was, I don't even know how old he was, probably in his 80s then. And he was like, "Oh, come here. This is the new guy." And we'd done the cliche Arnold shot with Joe. Somebody took a photo of it, which is probably out there somewhere. And that was another moment where I was like, I've made it. I made it. I have to remind myself more about that time. I forget about that time. And I'm glad you asked me that question because this has been a buried memory for a number of years. But that was a moment in time where that 15-year-old kid was watching VHS DVDs over and over and over again on bodybuilding. I'm watching Joe Weider give out trophies. There I am in his presence telling me that I'm his new athlete being signed. Was full circle. And yeah, thanks for asking that question, man. I forgot about that memory. It's one I shouldn't do because that is a very pivotal part of my career. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's been great
Yes.
speaking to you.
You too, my man.